Waves 96.3 FM. Nature's Way. Tune in this and every Sunday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Waves 96.3 FM for Nature's Way, an educational program to guide you in the use of natural remedies to enhance your life. That's Nature's Way, this and every Sunday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Waves 96.3 FM. Nature's Way. Tune in this and every Sunday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Waves 96.3 FM for Nature's Way, an educational program to guide you in the use of natural remedies to enhance your life. That's Nature's Way, this and every Sunday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Waves 96.3 FM. Nature's Way.
Good afternoon to everyone. I must apologize that we do not have our theme song for you this afternoon, but we welcome you to another Nature's Way program. My name is Nebert, and I'm sitting in for Debbie Price this afternoon. The materials contained in this presentation is for information purposes only, so they are informative in nature and is not intended to serve as diagnosis, treatment, prevention, or cure for any specific health condition of our listeners and viewers. I want to welcome all of you who have joined us on the radio and on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. We give no guarantee of nor assume any liability for any outcome of the use of this information. Here at Nature's Way, we share because we care. This is general information that we are giving you. Sorry. In 1 Corinthians 10 and verse 31, it says, "Whether therefore ye eat or drink or whatsoever ye do, do all to the glory of God." And 3 John 2 says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth." In Genesis 1 and verse 29, the original diet that God gave to mankind was fruits, nuts, and grain. In Genesis 3 and verse 18, because sin entered our world, Adam and Eve sinned. In Genesis chapter 3 and verse 18, God added the herbs to our diets, and so we started eating vegetables. So our new diet consists now of fruits, nuts, grains, and vegetables. In Psalm 104 and verse 14, it says the herbs are for the service of mankind. In Revelation chapter 22 and verse 2, it tells us that the herbs of the leaves of the tree of life, the herbs are for the healing of the nation. And so we want everybody to be healed, and this is why we are sharing all of this information with you this afternoon. And we thank you for all those who have joined us. We appreciate your company, whether you are on the radio or on YouTube. And again, we must apologize for the absence of the music that we would normally play at the beginning, the introductory song or theme song. We do not have it this afternoon. And we want to wish all of our viewers and listeners well, because we know that in the passage of Hurricane Beryl, a number of persons were affected by this terrible outcome of this hurricane that blew. We also saw that many of the fruit trees and many of the food and the fruit trees were blown down, and so we are so very sorry. Some persons have lost their roof, and some persons have lost a number of other things. Some persons have to start all over again. And so we are our hearts are with all of you. And we really hope that you will pull through as good soldiers pull through, because indeed we are soldiers of Christ. And so before we get into our presentation this afternoon, I'm going to ask you to bow your heads as we invite God's presence to take full control of our program this afternoon. Let us pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, we are grateful to you for being with us this afternoon, for your presence, and for the fact that you are always with us. We ask now that you take full control of this program and that you direct it and guide it, and that you'll help somebody to hear something this afternoon that will heal them and will put them on the road toward healing. Thank you so very much for hearing and answering our prayers. Through Jesus Christ, our Lord, we pray. Amen. All right. We are continuing with the skeletal and muscular system. We have been looking at that now for 4 weeks, and we are going to continue with it. We are getting to some parts of it that are very interesting now. Some parts that, well, all of it are very interesting, but we are coming to some areas that most persons can relate to. Next week, we are going to be looking at knee pain. And after that, we are going to be looking at arthritis. And so we know a number of persons are affected by arthritis and a number of persons are affected by knee pain. It's not arthritis, just regular knee pain. And so we are going to be looking at the various causes and so on. But today, this afternoon, we are going to be looking at rickets. And this is osteomalcia in children. Some persons know it as osteomalcia in children, but many of us know it as rickets. And so we are going to be looking at osteomalcia in children and osteomalcia in adults. And if we have time, we are also going to be looking at the Paget's disease of the bone. But first of all, we're going to be looking at rickets, and some persons know it as osteomalcia in children. But before we get into it, I'd just like to reiterate something that we have been telling you from the beginning of this section of the program when we started the skeletal and muscular system, that the bones are made up of 12 minerals and 64 trace minerals. So there are 12 main minerals that the bones are made up of, and the 64 trace minerals. And all of these minerals are very, very important for us to include in our diets on a daily basis so that our bones can remain strong and firm. Because the more our body grows, the more we get taller or fatter, or so on, put on a little bit more body, is the more we need our bones to be sturdy. Now, these minerals that our bones are made up of, the main minerals are zinc, phosphorus, potassium, selenium, sulfur, silica, manganese, magnesium, iron, boron, chromium, and calcium. So those are the 12 main minerals. And so there are some persons who will tell you that our bones are made up only of calcium. Well, this is not so. There are 12 main minerals and 64 trace minerals. Calcium, of course, is one of them that the bones are made up of. Now, all of these minerals, all of them, all 64 and the 12 main ones can be found in Celtic salt. Celtic salt can be found in Celtic salt. Celtic salt has 82 main minerals. And there's also the good sea salt. Celtic salt is a type of sea salt, but there's also a good type of sea salt that you can get that also has the 92 minerals, and all 92 minerals our body need. But if we are unable to get the Celtic salt or this other good sea salt, then you can try the Himalayan salt. The Himalayan salt has 75 minerals in it. That's a pink salt. Pink Himalayan salt has 75 minerals. And so it is important that we try to consume these salt on a daily basis, because when we try to do that, then we will ensure that our body remain healthy. Also, these minerals can be found in green leafy vegetables. And so we continue to try to eat the green leafy vegetables on a daily basis also. Um, and let me explain to you that all of these can be found in purslane, or we call it parsley. Those pesky little vegetables that we see growing around our homes, and some of us
We
don't
have
know what it is.
96 ways to be
Some of us
sure.
don't know what it is, and we don't know how to get rid of it. Well, it is purslane, and it can be found in almost all of our yards. And it is important that we try to use it as much as possible, because it is very, very important for us, the minerals that are in it. It has omega 3, it has the A linoleic acids in it that we need. It has vitamins A to K. It has zinc, and it has a number of other minerals. And so we try to consume this on a daily basis, to make sure that we get all of the minerals that are there for us to get on a daily basis, so that we can not only have strong bones, but we can have all of these minerals being put in our bodies on a daily basis, because we really and truly do need these every day, so that we can develop and grow strong and sturdy. Because especially now, when we are younger, it is important that we try to eat all of these minerals, so that as we get older, our bones will continue to develop and be strong. Because the older we get, is the more brittle our bones become. And so we try to fortify our bones from early as we possibly can, so that when it comes later on, when we are unable to consume these things, that our bones will have the type of nutrients that it needs, so that our bodies can grow and develop into into what we really need it to be later on. All right. So as we said, we're going to be looking at rickets, and this is a disease that affects children, and it is very important for us to understand it.
You know, it's
And
waves.
it is also known as osteomalcia in children. Now, the early symptoms include nervousness, numbness in the extremities, that is from the leg, our thighs go down, numbness in the extremities, leg cramps, painful muscular spasm, restlessness, irritability, and profuse sweating. These are some symptoms. Now, later on, some other symptoms may develop that will include knock knee, bow leg, narrow rib cage, protruding breastplates, scoliosis, which is an abnormal curvature of the spine. There may be a delayed walking or tetany, and also bony beads along the ribs, and the cane teeth, swelling and tenderness at the growing ends of the bone. This is what we call tetany. Tetany is when you touch somebody and that area seems tender, and it is because there is tenderness at the end of the bones, because it is growing. Now, this is a symptom that can be found in children, and we have to and watch out for it and ensure that our children are not affected by this. Now, rickets is caused by a deficiency of vitamin D in children. When it occurs in adults, it is called osteomalcia, and we're going to try to get to that today as well. Osteomalcia. Now, once upon a time, these diseases were not very common in children, because we used to send our children outside to play, and they would be in the sun all day long. But today, with technology as it is, and we have all kind of gadgets and devices, now children are normally kept inside, and so as a result, you find many type of diseases affecting children. As I said before, rickets is caused by a deficiency in vitamin D in children. And it is also a deficiency in vitamin D that causes osteomalcia in adults. Now, it can result either from not obtaining enough vitamin D in the food or from not getting enough from sunlight. And so we know that we get some vitamin D from our food, that our bodies can produce the D5 that we need. When sunlight strikes the skin, oils on it are irradiated. Vitamin D is then synthesized into the skin. These oils are then reabsorbed into the bloodstream and carried to the liver. Now, it is important that we try to keep our liver healthy. So, it is transferred to our liver where it is stored and, as needed, sent throughout the body to strengthen the bone. So when sunlight strikes the skin, oils on it are irradiated. Vitamin D is synthesized into the skin. These oils are then reabsorbed into the bloodstream and carried to the liver, where it is stored as needed and sent throughout the body to strengthen the bones. Without this vitamin, the body cannot absorb calcium and all of those 12 minerals that I told you about, that our bones contain. These 12 minerals are just going to repeat them. It's important that we try to see if we can, know them as far as possible. It's calcium, chromium, boron, iron, magnesium, manganese, silica, sulfur, selenium, potassium, phosphorus, and zinc. All of these 12 materials. So without vitamin D, our bodies cannot absorb all of these nutrients, these minerals that our body needs in our bone. Now, this results in deformities when the bones are required to support our weight. Yet, even though our bones are not properly developed, weight gain and growth will usually be normal. But growth is sometimes retarded. So sometimes the growth of the child may be retarded because the growth of the bones are not taking place. So it is important that we as parents are very observant in our children and to see where all of these things occur so that we can offer the type of assistance that they need in order to grow healthy. Now, normal liver and kidney function is needed for production and utilization of vitamin D in the body. Damage to either organ can cause rickets, and this, of course, is in children and adults also. Any damage to our liver and kidney can cause rickets, and we don't want that to happen. Oils on the skin do not make provitamin D quite as well if the children have dark skin or lack sunlight exposure. So you have to ensure that our children are exposed to a lot of sunlight. Vegetarians or vegans must obtain adequate sunlight on the skin. Research studies found that Muslim women who are entirely covered in black cloth when outside their homes could obtain adequate sunlight by exposing their bare feet to the sunlight for a relatively short time each week. And so those persons whose religion forbid them to show any type of flesh where they are on the outside, like Muslim women and so on. It is said here that you can expose like your feet so that the sun can be absorbed through these areas in your body. This is very, very important. Um, Certain disorders can interfere with absorption of nutrients. And so this type of nutrient that our bodies need, there are certain diseases, certain disorders that can interfere with them. And these are asthma, bronchitis, colon problem, severe allergies, or celiac disease. What exactly is celiac disease? Celiac disease is a long-term autoimmune disease. Primarily, it affects the intestine, in the intestine, where the individual develop an intolerance to gluten. So sometimes we cannot eat gluten. We develop an intolerance toward this. Now, this is a celiac disease, and many persons out there are suffering from this disease. Now, intestinal surgery and drugs used to treat epilepsy can also interfere. And so, we have to try to keep healthy and try to find remedies for these diseases. Now, osteomalcia is often diagnosed as osteoporosis, because they are very close. That we looked at osteoporosis last week, and when you hear what osteomalcia is, then you're going to see how close they are. After treatment with proper nutrition and sunlight, most people make a full recovery, although early deformities may be permanent in children. And so, this is one thing we try to run away from. We try to treat it as early as possible and as quickly as possible so that it will not be permanent in our children. Now, let us try to look at some of the natural remedies, some basic natural remedies that we can use. Now, eat a diet rich in calcium or eat green leafy vegetables. Try to use Celtic salt as much as possible, and try, or if you don't have that, use the Himalayan salt. Don't use any salt that when you read the packet it says that this thing or that thing is added. It means that it is not real salt. So try to eat foods, green leafy vegetables as much as possible, and try to use Celtic salt and Himalayan salt. Now, the diets that are rich in the nutrients that you need includes the green leafy vegetables, as I said before, broccoli, raw fruits, nuts, and seeds. Now, you notice that these are the foods that were given to us to eat in Genesis 1:29. Fruits, nuts, and grains. These are the foods that we really need when rickets set in our children, and also automalcia in adults. Avoid processed, junk, or sugar foods. Do not drink soft drinks, which pull calcium and the other nutrients out of the bones. Now, soft drink is a terrible type of disease, and a lot of persons love to use soft drink, love to drink it, but try to avoid it as much as possible because it pulls the nutrients that our body needs, the minerals that our body needs out of our bones. So try to avoid it as much as possible. In order to avoid rickets, the National Institute of Health recommends the following vitamin D supplementation. Now, we on this program, we hardly ever tell you about supplements. We always send you directly to the foods that are necessary for you to eat. And so try to eat the grains, nuts, and fruits, and green leafy vegetables. And parsley, as we said, these have all of the nutrients that our bones need in order for us to develop um, good bones so that our bodies can become strong and sturdy as time goes by. We really need to develop these in our bones because when we get older, as I said before, we are really and truly going to need it. Because you notice a lot of persons, especially women, end up with broken hips and broken bones, especially because when you were younger, you did not ensure that you eat the things that will strengthen your bones. But we are telling you now that it is important that you eat it so that your bones can remain strong and firm. So that when you get older, you will not have any problem with broken hips and broken bones. So we have just looked at rickets, and this is also called osteomalcia in children. And so we're going to be looking now at osteomalcia, which is rickets in adults. So we look at rickets in children, and now we're looking at osteomalcia in adults. Now, what are the symptoms when it comes down to adults? Painful tender bones, This is most often in the ribs, hips, and bones of the legs. There is difficulty in climbing stairs, getting up from a squatting position, and bone fractures after a minor surgery. And so those are some of the symptoms. Let me repeat: painful tender bones. And this is most often occurs in the ribs, the hips, and the bones of the legs. There is difficulty in climbing stairs, getting up from a squatting position, and bone fractures may occur very easily, especially after you have done minor surgery. Now, what are the causes? This is the adult form. Osteomalcia is the adult form of rickets. And all of the information I told you before about the type of foods that you should eat, allow your children to eat, are the same type of foods that as an adult you should continue to eat them. Green leafy vegetables, eat those. Grains, nuts, and fruits, ensure you eat those. And eat a lot of parsley or purslane is the proper word. Parsley is what we know it locally. Now, the adult form of rickets, which is osteomalcia, generally occurs during pregnancy or breastfeeding, but it may also be caused by a kidney disease or defect. And it is when the body lacks the 12 nutrients that I told you about. So a deficiency in these nutrients, and also a lack of vitamin D, or inability to utilize vitamin D. Or it can also occur in those who do not obtain enough sunshine, or whose bodies are so low in fat that they cannot produce the bile needed to absorb vitamin D in the food. In addition, certain disorders can interfere with absorption of these nutrients, and I told you them before in children, and it is also the same in adults: asthma, bronchitis, and colon problems, severe allergies, or celiac disease. And as I said before, celiac disease is when your body is an autoimmune disease, long-term autoimmune disease, where your body is unable to use gluten. All right, so where your body is unable to use gluten, it is known as celiac disease. And so you try as much as possible to eat those minerals, include them in your diet, that your body may be able to absorb them over a long period of time. All right. Now, we are also going to look at in this section a type of bone disease that is known as Paget's disease. Paget's disease. Now, this is a very common disease that occurs in adults, children, and anybody at all who once you are alive. This is one of the diseases that will most likely affect you unless you continue, as I said before, to ensure that your body receive the 12 minerals and 64 trace minerals that your body needs to develop good bones. And the 12 minerals, I just repeat them before we get into the Paget's disease, that we need to eat on a daily basis is calcium, chromium, boron, iron, magnesium, manganese, silica, sulfur, selenium, potassium, phosphorus, and zinc. These are the 12 minerals, and also 64 trace minerals that our body needs on a regular basis. And as I said before, all of these can be found in green leafy vegetables, especially those who know this herb that is known as parsley, or the proper name is purslane. All of these can be found in this particular type of thing. All right. And so ensure that you eat them as much as possible. Also, in Genesis 1 and verse 29, the Bible tells us that the original diet that was given to man is fruits, grains, and nuts. Fruits, grains, and nuts. Now, all of these has the type of nutrients that our bodies need in order to prevent us from developing rickets or osteomalcia. And so we invite you to eat these as much as possible, and try to stay away from processed food and sugar, especially soft drink, because these are the things that take away the vitamin C, especially, and also prevents our bodies from absorbing these 12 nutrients that we need on a daily basis. And so we ask that you try to use these as much as possible. All right. And so what we're doing now is that we are looking at the Paget's disease of the bone. Paget's disease of the bone. What are the symptoms of Paget's disease of the bone? Now, at first, there is no symptoms other than possibly mild pain in the affected bones, generally at night or when you are working. All these are the symptoms that you can find happening to you at this particular time when you have the Paget's disease. And so you try as much as possible to eat these green leafy vegetables, especially the ones that are found in Genesis 1 verse 29, so that our bodies can absorb the nutrients that are needed, so that we can develop into the type of persons that we our bones really really want us to be. All right. And so we look at the symptoms of Paget's disease. Paget's disease is not very easy to diagnose it, because the symptoms are not really visible at first, but as time goes by, it can be seen. And so there are no visible symptoms at first, other than possibly mild pain in the affected bones. So generally, you feel it at nights when it is a little bit cooler, or when you are working. That is when you feel it. Now, there may be joint pains in nearby joints, and so you watch out at all times for joint pains, because you really need to get it. Watch out for these pains in our bodies as much as possible. In one area, one or more of the bones are deformed, and so you look out for this in our bodies. Look out for deformities of the bones in our bodies. So, in one area or more of the bones are deformed, there is bone pain and degeneration. And so look out for these as much as possible. All right. Um, and so you look out for deformities of the bones as much as possible. In one area or more of the bones are deformed. There's also bone pain and degeneration, arthritis, obvious deformities, and an increased tendency to fractures. And bone deformities may include bow leg, bent spine, barrel shaped chest, or enlarged foreheads. Now, these are some of the things that we look out for Paget disease. Now, these are diseases that can happen to anybody, and so ensure that you try to consume the right type of foods, which is grains, nuts, and fruits, and dark green leafy vegetables for our bones, so that we don't develop these type of diseases. Now, the bones most frequently affected are those of the spines, the thighs, the pelvis, the skull, the hips, and shins, and upper arms. Let me repeat, the bones mostly are frequently affected are the bone of the spines, thigh, pelvis, skull, hips, shin, and upper arms. All right, so long-standing Paget's disease may also lead to numbness or tingling or weakness in the affected area if the bone process or adjacent nerve in the adjacent areas, especially in the nerve. So we find that our nerve centers are normally damaged. Now, a number of persons will take painkillers, and you will go to the doctors and they will prescribe drugs for you to take. Now, these drugs many times affect us in a negative way in that they destroy our nerve centers. And so, what you do is that you try to heal these as naturally as possible so that our bones and may develop properly and so that our nerve centers will remain strong. Now, it may cause ringing in the ears or hearing loss if abnormal growth of bone compresses the nerves to the ear. All right, so sometimes this abnormal growth of the bones may have an effect on our ears. It may cause ringing in the ears or hearing loss if abnormal growth of the bone compresses the nerves to the ear. And so watch out for these things. Now let us look at some of the causes first, and then we are going to be looking at the remedies, and then we are going to be looking at some encouragement. So the causes in a healthy person, the bone is continually being broken down and replaced by new bones every day to maintain the normal bone structure. So every single day, in order to maintain the normal bone structure, our bones are naturally or it is continually being broken down and replaced. However, in Paget's disease is an ongoing deterioration of certain parts of the skeletal system. At those locations, the bone degenerates at the same time that new bone is being made, which is deficient, which is these new bones that are made are deficient in calcium and phosphorus and these other 12 minerals that the bones are made up of. And therefore, the bones are fragile. Now, the result is larger bony areas which are deformed. All right, so we don't want any of these to happen to us. And in adults, it happens when you get a little bit older because our bones get a little bit weaker. And this is why we suggest to you that right now, beginning right now, you try to eat those foods that will allow your bones to be strong and healthy, and so that later on you won't end up with broken bones, broken hips, and broken, different parts of the bones. And sometimes you see adults with these broken bones. And so you try to eat Celtic salt. It has all of these type of minerals that our bodies need. It has 82 minerals. All right. Celtic salt. Also, if you can't get that salt, you can try to use the Himalayan pink salt. It has all the nutrients that the body needs as well. Also, you can eat the green leafy vegetables and eat a lot of nuts, grains, and fruits. All these has the minerals that our bodies need to develop strong bones on a daily basis. There are some persons who will tell you that you need to drink animal milk. Now, our bodies as adults cannot absorb animal milk because our bodies, when you reach a certain age, it don't produce renin. And this is why when, for example, the cows are young, you see them stop drinking their mother's milk. The only ones who drink milk when you're old is human beings, and it has absolutely no effect whatsoever on your body. And so try to use a natural type of milk like almond milk and so on, because these will be absorbed in the body very easily and quickly because these are made from the grains. So try to use the milk that is made from grain. Our bodies can use these, absorb these as very easily. And if you eat almonds and the grains and the nuts and the fruits and the green leafy vegetables, as I said before, our bones will continue to be strong. Now, because it produces few symptoms, this disease is often first diagnosed when a chance, only when an x-ray is done. So Paget's disease is very hard to diagnose, and many times only when an x-ray is done, it is known that you have Paget's disease. But as I said before, you try to work against that by eating the type of foods that your body needs on a daily basis so that it will not be one of those things that is found in you. Now, the cause of Paget's disease is unknown, but we know that it is as a result of not eating the type of foods that we need and try to stay away from animal flesh. Animal flesh is not absorbed in your bodies very quickly, in our bodies very quickly. And you find that many persons may have colon cancer or cancer developing in various parts of the bodies as a result of the fact that we continue to eat a whole lot of animal flesh. Our bodies are unable to absorb these. We were not made to eat animal flesh. And so when we do that, you find that they stay a little bit longer in your digestive system. And because they stay that long, our bodies may develop all different types of diseases. Try to go with the diet that God, who is the manufacturer, gave to mankind in the beginning. When God made us, He saw that our bodies need fruits, nuts, and grains to remain healthy. And then after we sinned, after Adam and Eve sinned, you find that in Genesis chapter 3 and verse 18, the herbs were added. And so this is why we eat vegetables. So our new diet became fruits, nuts, grains, and vegetables. Especially the dark green leafy vegetables are good for our bones because these contain the type of nutrients that we need to get on a daily basis. So this Paget's disease is a viral disease, and we try to avoid any type of viral disease as much as possible. Now, what are the natural remedies? What are the natural remedies? So we look at the causes. So we are now going to look at the natural remedies. What are the natural remedies? Eat a nutritious diet. Eat a nutritious diet. And our nutritious diet does not include any type of animal protein. Eat a nutritious diet. This is extremely important. The likelihood that toxic substance in the food or environment, along with an impoverished diet of junk food, can are causative factors. And so you try to at all times eliminate junk food, eliminate flesh, try to eat as naturally as possible. Eat things such as include these things in the diet: garlic, echinacea, golden seal, and other antibiotic herbs. These are very helpful. Pordiaca is is a very good antibiotic that you can include in your teas and so on, so that you will not develop this type of disease. Pordiaca can be found in Jamaica, many places in Jamaica. Golden seal can be found many places. Echinacea and garlic is everywhere. All right, and so you try to include these in your diet on a daily basis, and you will try, and these will help us to rid our bodies of this disease. Also, if you find that you have this disease, apply the heat therapy. Let me explain what this is. Such as the hot compresses or the heat lamps, etc. These can alleviate pain. And so we are going to be looking at that later on in our presentation, how you can apply the heat therapies, because there is a proper technique on how to apply these, because when the heat is applied to an area, for example, if you have a headache, you can apply it to your legs, to your feet, and ensure you put something cold on your head. So heat on your foot and something cold on your head, because when the heat goes to your foot, the blood will begin to circulate, and you don't want this hot blood to circulate up to your head. So you put something cold so that your head will remain as it is, but the blood will circulate. Remove all of this blood from your head so that you will not have the type of terrible headache that you normally have. Also, try to eat foods that do not cause you to have any type of allergic reactions. And so you know your body best. And so you know the type of foods that when you eat them, These are the type of foods that cause you to have allergic reaction. Try to stay away from these as much as possible. What are the encouragement I want to give to you this afternoon? Encouragement number one: darkness and discouragement will sometimes come upon you and threaten to overwhelm you, but we should not cast away our confidence. We must keep the eyes fixed on Jesus, feeling or no feeling. And so sometimes when you feel good, you look to Jesus, but feeling or no feeling at all, look to Jesus always. It is Hebrew chapter 12 and verse 2 says, looking to Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. How do we look to Jesus? We look at Jesus historically because he died on the cross for every single one of us. So we look back at the cross when we look to Jesus. And we look to the present because Jesus is the one who is able to allow us to get through the difficulties of this life. And so you look to the present so that he can guide us through the obstacles, the various obstacles of our life. And we look to the future because Jesus has made certain promises to us. And so we keep our eyes fixed on these promises. First of all, he said to us in Matthew chapter 28 that he will be with us all the way. All the way my Savior leads me. And so we look to him for guidance. We look to him because he has gone, according to the book of John, chapter 14. He has gone and has prepared a place for us. And so we look to this place that he has gone to prepare for us. And we also recognize that it is only when we bring our body in accordance with the divine instruction, when we follow the instructions that he has given, that we will be able to inherit any of these promises that he has given to us. And so we look to him for development in the present and in the future and eternal life that can only be found in Jesus Christ. So we look historically, we look presently, and we look in the future because Jesus will always carry us through. Next time, we will look at knee pain, joint pains, some of the pains that we have on a daily basis. We'll try to look at some of the causes, why these things are occurring, and how we best can overcome them. And we are going to be looking at arthritis, the various types of arthritis, and how we can use natural remedies to overcome some of these problems that we have on a daily basis. Before I go, so that our next presenter is Captain Rick can come and continue. Let me tell you that we always need to drink water. Drink as much water as our body needs. And how do you know how much water your body needs? When you go to the doctor will tell you you need to drink 7 or 8 glasses of water. Well, how do you know how much water your body needs? Is that you take your body weight, you divide it by 16, and so you know how much the result you get is how many 8 ounce glasses of water you should drink. An 8 ounce glass is probably your teacup. Or teacups are normally 8 ounces of water. And so you know how much of that you should drink. But some persons worry that I am so fat, I will, my body weight is so much, I will not be able to drink so much water. What I can say to you is this: if you drink a mouthful of water every time, and every time your mouth gets dry, drink another mouthful. When it is dry again, you drink another mouthful. And you'll be surprised to know that you are drinking the amount of water that you need on a daily basis. So everywhere you go, carry your water with you so that you can take a sip. And when you drink it, put it in your mouth, switch it around first, and then swallow. When you do that, our mouths contain sensors, and the sensors are sending signals to our brains, and our brain tells our body that we are about to be hydrated. And because it tells our bodies that we are about to be hydrated, when you swallow that water, it stays for a minimal time in the stomach, maybe no less than 5 minutes, and it goes to the areas that our bodies most need it. And so it goes to lubricate the joints. So our joints are lubricated on a daily basis. It goes to lubricate the joints, and it also goes to lubricate some other areas that we need on a daily basis. Also, it goes to our organs. And so we not only are our joints lubricated, our organs that need it gets it as well. If we do not drink enough water, then our bodies will first of all go to the stool, goes to our intestine, and it is there that our stool are stored before it is finally released, and it will use the water that is found there. You do not want that to happen. You try to take that out as much as possible. You try to eliminate that as much as possible. And so you drink a lot of water that your body needs on a daily basis so that your body can remain healthy. One of the natural spin-off that comes from drinking water uh, very often is that you will find that your skin is more radiant, and you are able to see better. You are able to do a lot of things much, much better when you drink a lot of water. And so the right amount of water that you need, continue to drink that and get it as, try to drink the spring water as much as possible. If you can't get the spring water, then those charcoal that the men burn burn in the bushes, get a piece of that charcoal and put it in the water, and it will purify the water. When the water is purified, you will find that your body can absorb it better, and it will eliminate the different types of minerals that are in the water that is not supposed to be there. And so your body can absorb it easily, and you will be able to use it as much as possible. So this afternoon, we looked at rickets, which is osteomalcia in children, and we look at the symptoms of rickets, we look at the causes, and we look at the natural remedies. We also look at osteomalcia in adults, which is rickets in adults. We look at the symptoms, the causes, and how to avoid it. And we also look at the Paget's disease of the bone, and we look at the symptoms, the causes, and the natural remedies. And we look at some of the encouragements that we need on a daily basis. We encourage you to share this program with as much persons as you possibly can, so that the information does not only reside with you, other persons are able to get this information, because the information is necessary in order for us to remain healthy. And so we thank you so very much for joining us. We thank you for being a part of this program, and we invite you to join us again next week, same time, same place, where we will look at some of these diseases and how we can use the natural remedies of avoiding them, and how we can be better persons as a result of them. Thank you so very much for joining us this afternoon.
FM for Nature's Way, an educational program to guide you in the use of natural remedies to enhance your life. That's Nature's Way, this and every Sunday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Waivez 96.3 FM. Nature's Way. Tune in this and every Sunday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Waivez 96.3 FM for Nature.